She cheated, so I made her think I forgave her. Right until our anniversary dinner, I never thought I'd be the type of person to orchestrate revenge. In fact, I used to pride myself on being level-headed and forgiving. But when I discovered my wife, Emily, had been unfaithful, something inside me broke. Our marriage, which I had always considered rock solid, suddenly felt like a fragile illusion. And the worst part? She didn't even know I knew. Emily and I had been married for 6 years. We met in college, bonding over late-night study sessions and cheap coffee, and by the time we graduated, I was certain she was the one. She was beautiful, ambitious, and had a way of making me laugh even on my worst days. When I proposed to her on a snowy December evening, she cried and said yes without hesitation. For a long time, our marriage was everything I had hoped it would be. We bought a cozy house in the suburbs, traveled when we could, and talked about starting a family. I thought we were happy. But looking back now, I realize I was blind to the cracks forming beneath the surface. I found out about the affair by accident. It was a Tuesday evening, and Emily had left her laptop open on the dining table while she went to take a shower. Normally, I wouldn't even think about snooping, but an email notification popped up, and the subject line caught my eye. Can't stop thinking about last night. My stomach dropped as I clicked on the email. It was from someone named Daniel, a coworker of hers I had met once or twice at office parties. The message was short but damning, filled with intimate details that left no room for misinterpretation. I sat there, frozen, as the reality of what I had just read sank in. My wife, the woman I had trusted with every part of myself, was cheating on me. And not just a one-time lapse in judgment, this had been going on for months. When Emily came back downstairs, smiling and asking if I wanted to order pizza for dinner, I couldn't bring myself to confront her. Instead, I acted normal, nodding and pretending like everything was fine. But inside, I was a storm of emotions: anger, betrayal, sadness, and, most of all, a burning desire to make her feel the pain she had caused me. I spent the next few weeks pretending nothing had changed. I still kissed her goodbye in the morning, asked about her day when she got home, and even planned a fancy dinner for our upcoming anniversary. But every time she laughed at one of my jokes or reached for my hand, all I could think about was how easily she had lied to me. In the days leading up to the anniversary dinner, I did some digging. I needed to know just how deep her betrayal went. I went through her phone while she was asleep, read through texts and emails, and even drove by her office one evening when she said she was working late. Sure enough, Daniel's car was parked out front. The two of them came out together an hour later, laughing and looking far too comfortable for just coworkers. It was one thing to know about the affair, but seeing it with my own eyes was something else entirely. I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white, fighting the urge to confront them right then and there. But I reminded myself of the plan. Patience. The anniversary dinner was the perfect opportunity. Emily had been gushing about it for weeks, excited to celebrate another year together. I booked a table at her favorite restaurant, the same place we had gone on our first date, and even ordered a bouquet of her favorite flowers to be delivered to the table. On the surface, it looked like I was the perfect, doting husband. But beneath the surface, I was carefully setting the stage for the truth to come crashing down. The night of the dinner, Emily looked stunning in a red dress I hadn't seen her wear in years. She smiled at me across the table, her eyes filled with what I once would have thought was love. It was almost enough to make me doubt my plan. Almost. We made small talk as we sipped wine and waited for our entrees. She reminisced about our wedding day, the honeymoon, and the time we got lost in Paris but ended up finding the best little cafe by accident. I nodded along, playing my part, but my heart wasn't in it. Finally, after the dessert was served, a rich chocolate cake Emily adored, I decided it was time. "I have a surprise for you," I said, reaching into my pocket and pulling out a small, neatly wrapped box. Her eyes lit up as she took the box from me. "You didn't have to get me anything," she said, though her excitement was evident. "Open it," I urged, leaning back in my chair and watching her carefully. She untied the ribbon and lifted the lid, her smile faltering as she saw what was inside, a stack of printed emails, the very ones that had exposed her affair. Her face went pale as she skimmed through them, her hands trembling. "Do you have anything to say?" I asked, my voice calm but cold. She looked up at me, tears welling in her eyes. James, I can explain." "Don't," I interrupted. "I've spent the past month waiting for you to come clean, to show even the slightest bit of remorse. But you didn't. You kept lying to my face, every single day." She started to cry, reaching across the table for my hand, but I pulled away. "It wasn't supposed to mean anything," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I made a mistake. Please, James, I love you." "Love?" I scoffed, shaking my head. "If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. You wouldn't have thrown away everything we built for some fling with your coworker." She sobbed openly now, drawing the attention of nearby diners. I didn't care. Let them stare. Let them see the woman who had destroyed our marriage. "I hope it was worth it, Emily," I said, standing up and tossing some cash on the table to cover the bill. "Because this is the last anniversary we'll ever celebrate." I walked out of the restaurant without looking back, my heart pounding in my chest. Part of me felt a twisted sense of satisfaction, but another part felt hollow. Revenge, it turned out, wasn't as sweet as I had imagined. The days that followed were a blur. I packed my things and moved out of the house, leaving Emily to deal with the aftermath of her actions. She called and texted constantly, begging for another chance, but I ignored her. Eventually, I filed for divorce. The process was messy and painful, but it was necessary. I couldn't stay with someone who had betrayed me so deeply, no matter how much she claimed to regret it. But my revenge didn't stop at exposing her affair. I made sure her coworkers knew what had happened. Daniel, her affair partner, had a fiancé of his own, and I made sure she found out. The fallout at their workplace was massive. Emily ended up resigning a few weeks later, unable to handle the whispers and judgment from her colleagues. I won't pretend it was easy. There were nights when I lay awake, wondering if I had gone too far. But then I'd remember the pain of discovering her betrayal, and the doubt would fade. In the end, I didn't just lose a wife, I lost the life I thought we had together. But I also gained something invaluable: clarity. I realized that I deserved better than someone who would lie and cheat, and that moving on was the only way to truly heal. Looking back now, I don't regret what I did. It wasn't the most mature way to handle things, but it gave me the closure I needed. Sometimes, the best way to move forward is to confront the truth head on, even if it hurts. And as for Emily, well, I hope she learned a lesson from all of this. Because I certainly did.